United Nations Obama, IANA ICANN handoff Internet kill switch, 2016, October 1st. On March 10, 2016, ICANN and the United States Department of Congress signed the culminating agreement to finally remove ICANN and IANA from being controlled by the U.S. Department of Commerce. This agreement was scheduled to go to approval by the National Telecommunications and Information Administration in April of 2016, as this approval must occur before ICANN's current contract with the United States Department of Commerce expires. It's a contract, and expires in 2016 September. So now the United States Department of Commerce has relinquished influence over and control over IANA and ICANN, effectively. Or they can renew, that sort of thing, obviously. A department of ICANN. It's been part of ICANN the entire time. It's not being handed over to ICANN and therefore somehow handed over to some evil corporate entity with influence from every UN nation that's an enemy. Muhaha, they have an internet kill switch. They've always been part of it. It's just that the U.S. Department of Commerce, which is influenced by people who, any of your legislators, it's not under their influence, so they can't sit there and bugger the files. A department of it's always been part of ICANN, so it's not being handed over to them. It's just that they're not being controlled by the Department of Commerce. The Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, IANA, was and always has been for a long time a part of the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, but was under control and oversight of the United States Department of Commerce most of this time, for a fairly long period of time. Undue influence, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. That is for you to evaluate. It is not for you to evaluate, or for me to evaluate, that somehow this is Obama signing everything over to the UN. It's not. Any non-profit company that chooses to take investors from any other country can be influenced by them, I suppose. But mostly it's because of something really, really insidious, and I'm going to explain it really quickly. Who oversees the entire planet's global IP address allegation, the domain name system and its root zone management system, the autonomous system number allocation system, media types, and other Internet protocol-related symbols, numbers, and standards? And how many of you understood exactly what I said? You don't have to worry about it. An American non-profit private corporation in California runs the Internet. Yeah, and it was originally controlled by the military and a couple of people. It's not controlled by the military. It's not controlled by Bill Gates or Apple Corporation. It's not controlled by your senator and governor as much anymore either. It's controlled by a bunch of people who just want to make the Internet work. They're a bunch of geeks. Or you could decide that rich corporations who influence every politician you've ever dealt with and put people in power without election in the Department of Commerce should have influence. See also the onion router, and also hard encryption. The U.S. military had a problem at one point, several problems. The U.S. military is literally responsible for creating the Internet. The reason they created it is they needed a network computer system for communication that couldn't be taken out by an atomic warhead. It had to have multiple pathways, and there had to be some way for it to be built and continually maintained without them having to meddle with it. For two reasons. One, well, they might want to have control over such a computer network or a communications network. Having control over it means the ability to kill it, a kill switch. If there is a kill switch, someone can steal it. If there is no kill switch and it's set up specifically to make it impossible to shut down in any practical way, it won't go down. See also the onion router, a subsystem that runs over the Internet or any other communication protocol that does the same thing as much as it can and encrypts the crap out of it. See also the entire idea of a telephone system that goes parallel everywhere. See also encryption in general. You can have hard encryption and everybody can keep their stuff from being stolen, or you can make it to where only the haves and have-nots have those statuses. No matter how poor you are, you can encrypt a file to where even the FBI and the CIA literally can't get into it. In some countries, they just throw you in jail until they can get the damned password out of you. And yes, you can look up rubber hose encryption if you want to. I'll include the link below for getting around that problem. But the point I'm making here is that there are two choices with security. Someone having power over something and being able to shut it off, or no one having that power. Which one works best for everybody? Now, I'm gonna address all the whack jobs. There's a secret organization that for some reason wants to commit suicide, kill all the human beings on the planet for some great reward of Satan. But somehow they're atheists, so they don't believe in Satan, so why would they do that when they know there's nothing to reward them after they die? This kind of extremist, nasty comment I've just made makes a lot more sense than Obama is the devil and he wants to take the internet and your guns and your pinochle deck away from you. Obama is not handing control over the internet to the United Nations. He's not doing any of this. Actually, this whole process started a long time ago. There's too much political influence where you can appoint someone to the Department of Commerce or the Department of whatever the hell. They have too much power, and influence peddling, Hillary Clinton, is a big freaking problem. If it's run by a publicly disclosed, transparent, non-profit that has to discuss stuff publicly, it's really hard for people to pay it off to be able to get what they want out of it, like shutting down pieces and parts of the internet or how the world works. That's why you don't want it to be held under control by the Department of Commerce. Is it clear enough yet that people spin doctoring this because they want influence over the internet, are literally lying to you and telling you the opposite of what's reality so that they can keep control over and make money off of manipulating the damned internet? Okay, I'm going to repeat some words here. Words. The entire planet's IP address allocation. IP addresses are like, you can compare them to phone numbers. The internet basically has numbers that it uses. It's not really people. A person can change houses and change positions. The phone number can move with them, or a phone number can be assigned to 2 or 3 people in the house, right? Well, the IP address usually, but not always, matches up with the domain name, DNS. Domain name systems have to match them up. You can have a computer that hosts 20 websites or a website that uses multiple IP addresses. It's extremely fluid. This has to be maintained and managed. In order for it to be done that way, at one point or another, people had to be hired to get to mess up things. Basically, stuff gets screwed up, it gets scrambled, and has to be fixed. That means money has to change hands. So it became a privately held, public-controlled, effectively, and more importantly, non-profit company that pulls in some money just to maintain the internet. And a bunch of people wanted to invest in it all over the planet because they all wanted to have a little undue influence. The trouble is, if everybody can contribute, nobody has power over it. The Department of Commerce, effectively, was supposed to keep tabs on it, make sure it's not being controlled externally from somebody from another country. That didn't last very long. Now, I'd like to everybody to look up, what was it, Keep the Internet Free campaign or whatever it was from. I'll look it up. Remember how all the Republicans spun it as we were going to lose control over the internet, or the internet's going to be silencing people? No. The whole point of it was to prevent that. All they have to do, and it happens to be the Republicans that time. See also gun control, where opposite day happens with the liberals. The Republicans and conservatives it just happened to be the people getting bribed more often, so they don't want the internet to be open and completely out of control like we're used to. So they said that us maintaining things the way they are is somehow a change, because they wanted to institute rules where they get to influence peddle the internet. This is not any different. I don't know why the Republicans picked this thing. I figured it would be the other way around. If you have a completely uncontrolled internet, that's good for business. Why the hell? Oh, that's right, because they got bribed. And yes, some Democrats got bribed too. That's my conclusion and opinion. It is not an opinion whether or not the IANA has been a subset of ICANN, and that making it to where those two things are controlled exclusive of the U.S. government a little bit more, that is actually a good thing. That's not an opinion. It's also not an opinion that doesn't mean that it's being handed to the UN, in spite of people like Alex Jones, Lisa Haven, and other asshats lying to you. That is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Links below in the description.